In this video, Fran and I will show you everything you need to know to grow your business sustainably through LinkedIn. You know that there is no cookie cutter strategy, so we'll be looking at two scenarios. Scenario one is when your lead generation is still a problem, and scenario two is when lead generation is not a problem anymore, but you don't have any more time for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys at the Blueprint have reached 50,000 monthly recurring revenue using one of these strategies. And you're now going to apply the other one to scale beyond that. So, this is all you need to scale a business to whatever you're thinking of right now or whatever your situation is right now.
Yeah, that's correct because the strategy that's going to take you to 50K a month is not the same that's going to help you scale beyond that. So, let's talk about the first scenario. So whether you're at 2K, 5K, or 10K, or even 30K, there is one question that you need to answer for yourself. If you are experiencing inconsistent leads, unqualified leads, feast famine cycles, financial insecurity, if at any point you don't know where your next client is coming from, this means that your lead generation is not sorted. And before you sort that out, you can't possibly think of scaling, hiring a team, because what happens if you sign 3 clients, you can't take the workload anymore. You need to hire someone to outsource a part of the work to. Then all of a sudden, these 3 clients leave and you don't know where the next one's coming from. You're going to have to fire your team. You don't know how you're going to make money. You can't rely on inbound leads or referrals or word of mouth or networking or anything. If you want to scale, you need to have the lead generation part sorted. So
But
this is the first scenario. Yeah.
you need a full pipeline before you do anything else. So, let's fill up that pipeline.
Yeah. You need to have a full pipeline, but you also need to know how to refill the pipeline if it ever goes dry or empty. So this is the first scenario that I'm going to take you through right now. You already know what the conditions are. You don't know where your next client is coming from. Here is what you need to do in order to get that pipeline full again through LinkedIn. The first and most important part is knowing your ideal client profile. This doesn't mean small business between 20 or 50 people making this much money. It actually means what exactly is your client struggling with? What are their pains? What are their desires? What are their aspirations? What is the main overarching problem that is keeping them away from achieving their goals? And where exactly do you come in that equation? How do you help solve that problem? What is the outcome that you get for your clients when this problem is solved? So this is the first and most important part. It is the foundation of everything because everything will be centered around that. Next step would be to optimize your profile on LinkedIn to reflect on that. You can have the outcome pitched in your banner. For example, I help you get your time back. Your headline could say, I help busy owners free up some time or win 30 hours a week back or something like this. You need to make everything around this one pain and the benefit that your ideal client has from it. This is optimizing your profile. Next on, you need to find these people on LinkedIn. The way you do that is through Sales Navigator. I know that Sales Navigator is the most user and friendly piece of software that's ever been created, but once you get used to it, it's the best database that you can use because it's legal. It has all the people on LinkedIn and you can filter through pretty much anything and everything.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I find like a lot of people struggle with understanding their ICP and defining this one person. It helps to think of one person. And I usually help people come up with something by thinking who was your best client yet, who you want to work. And if you could, you would transform all your clients into this client. If you focus on this person and everything you do, so the step number 2 that Dana spoke about, optimize your profile, so all your messaging is addressing this one person, then the majority of people you'll be attracting to you are this specific person that you want to work with. If you haven't had one client that you can say, amazing, this is the person I want to work with, who would you want to work with, right? And then on Sales Navigator, you're going to find a lot of variations of this one person.
yeah, Yeah, by the way, I started using that question with my clients. What was the best client you ever worked with? All right, we are going after that person. We'll try to attract that particular person with their psychographics and the problems that they had, and their also openness and willingness to sort out the problem, the same way that this one ideal client did.
Yeah, I mean, it helps people have a concrete idea. And how do you find these leads on in Sales Navigator?
So you go onto the leads filter and you start going through everything. You go through company headcount, you go through type of company, where it's privately held, non-profit, you go through geography, you go through job title, you go through industry. These are the main filters. Never ever touch the filter called function. It's broken, doesn't work. It tries to apply some taxonomy that LinkedIn came up with. And if you use filters from the filter function, it's going to filter out a lot of relevant people. Use industry instead. That's my pro tip. Once you've created a list, you need to automate it because no one's got time to add in 20, 30 people literally every single day. Automate that. Use Dripify, use Reply Grow. Both are excellent pieces of software. So use that. This is step number 3. Step number 4, we are going back to the ideal client's pains and desires. Post content, ideally every day, that reflects on the problems that your ideal clients have, the way you solve them. Add in a little bit about your story, post about relatable topics. When I mean relatable topics, I don't mean how much you hate being in a traffic jam. That is relatable to everyone, right? Post about things that your ideal clients would relate to. So if you're an entrepreneur, they're entrepreneurs as well. Talk about the hardships of entrepreneurship. They're going to relate to it. It builds a connection to you, makes you not sound like a bot. As a general rule of thumb, when you're writing content, ask yourself the question, can this be found on Google? And if the answer is yes, don't post it.
Here's a pro tip for this as well: to know what their pains and desires are and what to address in your content, specifically the hooks, right? Use one of those, and actually I haven't started using it. I need to do it. I do all this manually still. I know you use it. What these AI note taking from meetings? Fathom is one, no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's actually a really good point because, we are just talking like parrots most of the time. Know your ICP, know your ICP, know your ideal client. The best way to know your ideal client is to get on calls with them, record the calls, then let AI analyze it. So even if you go on 5 calls where you ask people, what brought you to me? What's your problem? What can I help you with? And then you run these 5 recordings, so ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you use, you're going to have a much better idea about what your clients struggle with than if you just decide to ballpark it.
And even in your coaching calls, like they are telling you a lot of these pain points. You are
Yeah,
trying to get them over them. So if then you get these transcripts from these calls, and you just ask ChatGPT to summarize the pains that they struggled with and how you help them solve, then you have posts right there. You have content right there to post on LinkedIn.
yeah. It requires a little shift in the way that you're looking at your sales calls or coaching calls or consulting calls for sure. But once you start looking at them as material, as like the real source of everything you need to be writing about, it actually gets much, much easier. So
So do you want to share what tool are you using for the transcripts from the calls to take the notes?
I'm using Fathom.
Fathom.
Um, I'm using Fathom. I'm using the premium version, but you don't have to. The premium version has the option to take out action points from the call, and they're very detailed. And I'm a coach, so I use that a lot to just remind my clients of what they need to do. You can use the free version, totally fine. I think Sibyl is quite good. TLDV is quite good as well. There are a lot of options. Most of them are actually free. So this is one thing that you can add to your processes, to all your calls. That's going to make a lot of difference when it comes to your understanding of your ideal client and your content for LinkedIn as well.
Beautiful.
So we are getting to the last step, warm outreach. I realized that there is a lot of resistance when it comes to outreach. One part of it comes from the fact that people tend to not differentiate between cold outreach and warm outreach. Cold outreach is when you just slide into someone's DMs, they have no idea who you are, and you have to start building trust from zero up. Warm outreach is when they've already seen your name, they've seen your content, they've maybe even commented, they've checked out your profile. They know who you are and what you do. So this makes the conversation a lot smoother. They know what to expect from you, and there is a particular level of trust that is already built. So essentially, the only reason why you're posting content on LinkedIn is that to warm up potential leads, to build trust up front, to have one touch point before getting into the DMs, because the DMs is where all the magic happens. You're not going to sell through content. If you see on LinkedIn posts of people with all their CTAs, drop me a DM, book an appointment. Trust me, this never works. It's a social media platform. People go on LinkedIn for entertainment as much as they go on Instagram or TikTok. Yes, there is a lot more networking involved when it comes to LinkedIn, but people don't want to be sold to. They never want to be sold to. So never selling your content. Content is like the nice suit, the nice outfit that you put on before you go on a networking event. But when it comes to doing the talking, this is actually the DMs, and this is essentially where you get people on calls.
We'll give you an alternative way, but we advise you to master this one first if you haven't reached that point where you don't need more leads.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna sum it up in the end why we are starting to talk about outreach before anything else. But
It's very simple. I mean, with outreach, you can get your next client in a few days. It's the most immediate thing ever. And if you're posting content and people already got familiar with you, this is, as Dana explained, warm outreach. Dana is an outreach expert, but let me give you my insight as someone who doesn't do outreach and just recently started dabbling with it. The way I approached it, if you have any resistance to this, is I started with people who have actually commented on my posts, telling me directly that they're struggling with something I know I can help them. So then this makes a click that, okay, I can help you. So that's the moment I go and open the DMs.
yeah, this is the warmest kind of outreach you can do on LinkedIn, that's for sure. But it doesn't really matter how warm the lead is when it comes to deciding whether you want to message them or not. It definitely helps with getting the conversation going and getting their guard down, but it's not a 100% prerequisite to it. But anyway, regardless of whether this is someone who came up in your comment section and expressed a pain point, or is someone who just viewed your profile and accepted your connection request after that, the process is very simple. You need to give them a unique opener. It could be a compliment, it could be an observation that creates a bridge between the two of you. It has to be very, very unique. And the rule of thumb is, can anyone else write that opening message? If the answer is yes, don't send it. It's not personalized enough. It's got to be something, ideally, where if they're posting content on LinkedIn, you share about very briefly about an experience that you had to explain why you resonated with that post. Because if you just say, hey there, I resonate with your post, anyone can write that. Like, explain to them why. Why did you decide to message that person out of everyone else on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, I love that rule of thumb.
Yeah, it's a great rule of thumb. It's the same with content. It's the same thing. Can anyone else write that post? The answer is yes. Don't post it. Same with the opening messages when you do outreach. Right after that compliment or observation that builds a bridge, you need to come up with a question. This question is the most important part of the outreach, and it will define how the conversation will go. It needs to be a simple yes no question, and it needs to be uncovering a pain point. And it will also set the tone of the conversation. Because if you just post in a compliment, like send it to a prospect, the conversation can go in anyway. You can start talking about your dogs, about your holidays, about your cars. That is not helping you book a call. So you need to direct the conversation into a consulting mode immediately in the very first message. Only three things can happen when you ask this consulting question. They can choose to ignore you. That's fine. You've not wasted any time. You've written one message. You've not carried out an entire conversation for like 30 minutes before you realize that they're not interested. Second thing that can happen is they can say, yes, I have this problem. Yes, whatever the thing I'm doing is not working out. which, by the way, is a reason good enough for you to offer a call because they've just expressed a pain point. They've said, yes, I have this problem. Perfect, offer a call. The third thing that can happen is that they say, yeah, this thing, I'm doing great with it, I don't have any issues. In which case, you will create a gap. You'll say, fantastic, I'm really happy for you. What's the next step for you? And offer 3 different things that you can also help with. So let me give you an example. If I go in someone's messages and I ask them, how's business going? They can tell me anything. It's going well, I'm enjoying it, I'm working with nice clients. I'm a lead generation expert. That's not helping me. What I want to hear from my prospect is, no, my lead gen is shit. I'm not getting leads, I'm not getting clients. So I craft my outreach question around the answer. Looking at it backwards, what do I need to ask them in order to get this answer? No, I'm not getting enough leads. I need to ask them, how is your LinkedIn lead gen going? Are you crushing it? They can say, yes, I'm crushing it. Fantastic. What else do you need? Better leads, more sales, more inbound leads. They can say, yes, no, I'm fine. Great. I've just literally spent 5 minutes doing that DM. I'm not wasting any time. If they say, well, you know what, my LinkedIn lead gen is not going well, then I can just say, would it be worth it to you if I shared some tips? Let's get on a call. That's it. You can literally book a call on LinkedIn with 3 messages.
Yeah. And you have the perfect resource to help them do just that, don't you?
You do have the perfect resource. What I lay down right now is the very basic structure of our DMing process. But if you want more details, check out the description box. We've got a free resource that lays out the entire process of getting someone on a call through LinkedIn DMs.
Awesome.
To wrap this up, the reason why we went so hard into outreach in the beginning of this video is because that's simply the fastest way to get a client. If you don't know where your next client is coming from, get into the DMs, check out our resource. You can book a call today. But problem is that there are only really so many hours in a week where you can do outreach. So if you need more leads and more sales, you need to start doing something else. And there is also another problem. Once you start getting the hang of booking calls and closing people, you will very, very quickly reach your ceiling. You will have a lot of client work. You're not going to have 10 hours a week for lead gen and for getting on sales calls and doing outreach. This is when you need to get your lead gen system automated. And this is how you scale from 50K above. And this is what Fran's going to talk to us about now.
Yeah, and this is basically attraction marketing. And a lot of people try to do this in the early stages. And the problem is they don't know their client well enough, their ideal client. And then they're just throwing hooks, trying to find a fish that they don't know if it's there. And they don't know how to capture. They don't know what the bait is for that fish. It's a struggle. So get to a point where you learn a lot about your client because you've worked with a lot of them, where you don't have revenue problems, and now you don't have to be searching for your next client for next month, and you can actually just hire a consultant or someone to help you set up a system that will automate all of this for you. Then it's much easier after you've already gathered all this information, after you've got your business going in a way that it's everything is honed in. So let's talk about how to set up an automated system to start capturing these leads from the content that you are just posting on LinkedIn, right? So now you've already started posting content. You've had people commenting on your posts and telling you that they have problems. You've come to a point where things are working well, but you don't have the time, as Dana mentioned, to be sending DMs and actually booking calls through outreach, through sending DMs to people. So what do? You make sure that you put something together. If you're a coach, a resource that you use to train your clients. If you're a service provider, something that you use to provide the service. You put something like that together and you give to people. You make it available to them. Once you have that available, once you have that, the most important thing is the name. I've had a lot of people tell me, "Oh, I've tried sharing a resource in the past, but it didn't work." I can tell you straight away, very quickly, why it didn't work. One, it could have been the best resource in the world, but if it wasn't addressed at the right target audience, they don't care about it. And if it's not wrapped up in a really pretty wrapping paper, they're not going to open it. And it can be really good, but then they'll never find out. It's like any product that you sell. If you give it away for free, it's not easier to sell. It's actually harder because there's a low perceived value. It's free, so people automatically think, oh, this is crap. So you have to wrap it up in a very pretty paper. And the way you do this, I'm going to give you a very quick formula to do this. Use the results that you know that your ideal client is looking for in the naming of this resource and of a time frame. So the easiest way to do this, let's use Dana as an example. How to get your ideal client on a call in as little as 3 DM messages. In this case, the time frame is just the messages, right? But you can say how I help my clients lose up to 10 kilos in 1 week. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but this is the formula that makes it really nice and tidy. Find the result that you have people help people achieve. Now, what you're going to give them, it's something that you use, but they don't need you to be there, right? So something that helps them achieve this problem on their own. Now, what they're going to find is, oh, I'm not sure I can do this, even with the resource, because they don't have your experience. They don't have your knowledge. Most likely, and if you package it correctly, the right lead magnet has a CTA at the end of the lead magnet itself, apart from all the follow-up, and says, if you need more help, go ahead and book a call with me or buy my course or whatever your next offer is. Just make sure that it's perfectly aligned with your offer. The first thing you need to think is the gap that Dana mentioned before about the DM conversation, where they are, where they want to be. Your product gives them the solution, but still the vast majority of people will not be able to do it themselves, will not have the time to do it themselves or the experience, and they will look for you to help them do it. So now you have this resource. You're going to craft a very simple landing page with a headline that goes along the lines of the naming of the lead magnet that we spoke about, with the formula that we spoke about. Very simple. You can add a picture of a mock-up of a PDF if you make it a PDF format. This is the easiest thing to come up with. There's a lot of other resources that you can do. You can create an assessment tool, a quiz, a lot of things. But this is the easiest thing. Something that gives them a quick result and it is easy to consume. Now, craft that landing page. They'll start capturing their emails in that landing page. You'll tell them, all right, give me your email. Where should I send this to? Make it logical. Why am I asking for your email? Because I need to send this to your email, right? There's other ways you could give it to them. They could just download it immediately. But if you make it logical in their mind, they'll give you their email without any problem. The next step is you're going to be linking from your profile, featured section, the link in your profile to this landing page, right? Where they're going to be giving you their emails so that you can share the resource. LinkedIn is the social media platform that has the most available external links. You can add it in your profile, the link in your profile, and just under your headline, or a button if you have the premium. You can, and then you can add it in your featured section as well as with a thumbnail and everything. So it's a very easy to attract people. Now, what you want is people to see this with every single piece of content that you publish on LinkedIn. Sometimes it won't make sense. If I don't know, if you're posting something about how you hate how you hate gurus on LinkedIn, then obviously it doesn't make sense to send people to download your resource. But most of the times you're talking about your ideal client's problems. So now their biggest problem is what your resource helps them solve. So at the end, you tell them you want to get this, you want to find this guide or this whatever you're sharing with them in my featured section, in my profile. There's another way to do it is just, you've seen this probably on LinkedIn. Drop a word below and I'll share it with you. Now, what you're going to do is when you share it, don't send it directly. Again, what you're sharing is the link to your landing page. What you want is to capture people's emails. Right? Why do you want to capture people's emails? Because what we're getting here at this point is a contact of a prospect. This person might tell you, no, I'm not ready to work with you. I don't want to work with you. In this case, you're not asking for anything. You're just giving them a free resource. These people will be in your email list for however long until they click unsubscribe, which doesn't happen often, especially if your emails are valuable. So if they don't convert today, they might convert next week, they might convert next month, they might convert next year. They might become your clients. They might never become your clients and just be there and actually even recommend other people to come and join your list, right? So this is your most valuable resource, is starting to build this list. Now, once they join your list, you're going to have an automated welcome sequence of emails coming out. You can have from 3 to 5 emails that start to welcome them to your world, start talking about. Previously in this video, Dana spoke about when you go and talk to someone, you start by talking about what led you to them, right? I saw this piece of content you posted. I really resonate with this because this and this and this. It's the exact same thing. You know something about them. You know they downloaded a resource strategically positioned by you. So you know they have a problem. They raised their hand. They said, hey, I have this problem, when they chose to download this. So your first email, second email, third email can be a follow-up to this. It's you just telling them, hey, thanks for downloading this. I hope it was helpful. If you need further help, get on a call with me. Obviously, I'm making this oversimplistic, but we don't have the time in this video to go into details. So that's a welcome sequence. Then every time you send an email, or most of the times you can offer them to get on a call, whatever makes sense to you. If you have a product to sell, a digital product, a course, then probably that's what you want to do. Whatever is your next step. And then just follow up weekly, what people nowadays call a newsletter, except what everybody's doing is telling you, subscribe to my newsletter, and that's it. And they send you a weekly email, and they skip all of this.
It's a really bad call to action, isn't it? Like, you're not giving people any incentive to get into your email list and give you their email address, right?
You know what the funny thing is, Dana? It's like, I remember, now we've gone back into the world of newsletters. But I remember when I first started studying email marketing, there was a big rule of thumb. Like, everybody was shouting of the rooftops, do not say subscribe to my newsletter. That's the worst call to action ever. And now that newsletters have made their comeback, everybody's doing it, because nobody wakes up in the morning and says, all right, how many newsletters am I going to subscribe to today? So it's not what they want. They don't want to subscribe to your newsletter. The reason why people subscribe to newsletters and that CTA still works is because they have started to build a connection with that creator specifically, and they want more of them. That's the only reason. But if they give them something else, something even better, they'll get a lot more subscribers. I've proven this over and over. So yeah, that's how you automate it.
It's a value exchange when it comes to giving your email address. There needs to be a big enough incentive.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's another thing. A lot of people nowadays, they have a specific email address just for newsletters. They don't pay a lot of attention to it. They will also have probably an email address to download resources or whatever, but there are ways to just go around it. You can make sure that people are receiving your emails, and then all of this work is done in this welcome nurturing sequence, that you make sure to do it right. You don't offer to download straight in the thank you page. You offer it in the first email, so you make sure they interact with your emails. There's a lot of little tricks there. And actually, now that we speak about it, and I'll be running a workshop, and we'll leave a link below as well in this video. If you want to register to this workshop, click the link. We'll be talking about all of these steps and how to build a lead magnet and how to actually start building your email list and automating this sales call booking from this system.
That's fantastic, Fran. I'm sure there'll be a lot of value. To sum up everything that we talked about in this video, before you think about which strategy to take, whether you want to go into outreach or building an email list, just ask yourself this question. Is my lead generation sorted? Am I getting enough leads? Do I have more time? Or do I have more clients to take care of? If you've got time, go into the outreach, book a couple of clients, start making some social proof. When you're out of time, then you start automating it by using an inbound funnel. Hopefully this was helpful.
In the meanwhile, we are very approachable. If you want to reach out to any of us, just find our links, the links to our LinkedIn profiles in the description below. Just follow those, send us a message. Obviously, don't send a connection request without a message. Just tell us where you came from and tell us what brought you to us, and we're happy to help with anything you need.
Yeah, we don't have gatekeepers, right, Fran?
No, we don't. Not yet, at
least. Not yet.
All right. See you in the next one. Make sure you're subscribed or following this wherever you're watching it. Hope you liked it.
Like the YouTube gods love us.
That's the one.
Yeah.